Welcome to another in the series, the Soup and Chat. Welcome to another in the series, Soup and Chat. I'm your host, Leleith Tomlinson, and with me today is my very, very special guest. Her name is Dacoda. I got it right.
You did.
Dacoda Mitchell, and she wears so many caps, and she's not a clown. This is a serious woman. She's a media personality. She is a mom. She's also an actress, and she's just a great person when it comes to personality. I mean, you want to have her on your program in terms of you're having that event, that Christmas party, whatever the occasion. She has that kind of flair. But today I want to talk to her, especially in her capacity today as a single mom. And I want to juxtapose that against the discussion that we want to have. But first of all, welcome Miss Mitchell to the program today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a pleasure. And I'm really happy that you chose me to be on the show as a guest for this topic, because I am so, ecstatic to speak about being a mom, especially a single mom in Jamaica at this time.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, one of the reasons why we're having this discussion, it's Child's Month, and we continue to celebrate our children. Last week we had a very good program. The feedback was very, very, positive and stuff like that. But we wanted to take it a little bit different today, because over the weekend we had a series of incidents involving our children.
Yes.
And this time it wasn't as positive as we would have liked. There were so many children that were involved in school conflicts, right? I think it was a 16-year-old boy that stabbed another student,
A female
yes. student, and she died. Then there was another incident of stabbing a few weeks back,
Yes.
and another student died. And it just seems like there's just this increased incident of crime in our school,
Amongst our students.
conflict.
Yes.
And I wanted to say, as I was discussing with somebody, Miss Mitchell, that one of the things that I think we keep missing is that the school is a microsystem of the society.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you, what are your views on that? But from where I sit, I think that the school is a microcosm of the society. And so when we see what's happening in the schools, it's just like, I thought about it as an orange. I know my producer is going to do this for me now. I thought about it as an orange, right?
Yes.
And the orange, when you squeeze it, you get juice just coming out from different sections of the orange. So the society is like the orange, and the underbelly are the juice represents coming from the underbelly, the different things that are happening in the society.
That's true.
So one of the things that I want to discuss as well is how the way in which we keep addressing issues in the country. Because I think that we keep addressing issues in silos, and that is part of why we have the problem. So talk to us about how you see the conflict in school connected to the wider society at large.
I think it starts from home. So the school, like you said, is really just an extension of everything that we're seeing with these students are stemming from how they're raised, the community, the culture, the generation, and all of that. So speaking of the orange, as an example, the juice that we're seeing coming from that orange is from what was happening at home. And when we squeeze that, we're seeing whether the good attitude, the bad attitude, the anger, the forgiveness, the loving, all the manner of expressions and things that the students go through or the children go through is from what is stemming from home. So the school being the outer rim of the orange is really what we're seeing from the children growing up. So the school can do so much and no more, but we as parents from home need to pay attention from there if we want good, if we want bad, if we want indifferent.
Excellent. One of the things that, a lot of people say everything we go back to the Bible, but this scripture is so profound. It says, train up the child in the way that he should grow, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And I know that for some people, they think that, oh, you're fanatics. Everything you go back to scripture and we say it's spiritual. But Solomon could not have gotten it any better and stated it in any other way. What we see in our society today is that we see a level of recklessness, a level of callousness and a level of carelessness.
Lawlessness too.
And lawlessness. And when it comes to parenting, what we find is that because some people say because children are having children, but I did a little research, and a lot of the children, we have a lot of teenagers who are having children, but that's not a new phenomenon.
True.
Where I think the gap is that there is less accountability to being a parent.
Yes.
Than there was back in the older times.
Yes.
Because a lot of persons back in the days, their parents had them when they were probably 15 and 16. So teenage pregnancy is not a new phenomenon. But what I find is that these younger parents, they still want to still be 16 and 13 and they're not in the mood to be a parent as yet. And some of the so-called grandma too, they're not in the mood either. The grandmas are not in the mood either.
They're not.
Right?
They're not.
So back in the days when grandma would say, okay, bring them to me and I will rear them, and the community raised that child. Right? And felt a sense of responsibility. No, grandma said, listen,
not enough time for that.
I don't have any time for that because I have to go to this party too. And I have to go to that. So it's really a lot that's happening in the society. And I always said this, that the fathers have eaten the sour grapes and the children's teeth are on edge. So what children are really manifesting in today's society, and it's something that we'll have to take account of, is what they see happening in and around. Because I said this morning that back in our days when children used to fight, right? It was probably a pencil, or you get a box or a thump. No, it's stab.
It's a full world war that's happening now. And you speaking about the lawlessness and all of that what the children are going through. Listen, I may not that old, but I have raise the children in the way they should grow, and when they grow old, they never depart. Because you see, my mother and my grandmother.
Right.
Listen, I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was saying, I mean, children know what I talk about. At 16 and 17, I talk about boyfriend and girlfriend
in public,
stuff. It's a norm.
It's an award.
You know, it's an accomplishment. You're on the bus stop and they're showing public display of affection and all of them something. When I was growing up, I could not do that.
Right.
Because just the thought of, say, a boyfriend. Look here, I don't even want to complete the thought, because my mother,
and I think what happened too, I want to make this very clear that it wasn't that people didn't have boyfriends at all.
Yeah, but we couldn't make it so.
But there was this level. I think there was this level of fear and respect.
That
for person,
respect,
right? For person and for family.
Yes.
Because whatever you were doing was. You went to school to do well, but you did it also for your family.
Yes.
You tried to succeed, but you did it also for your family.
Yes.
And there were instances when you actually felt that you had to do well because you're going to be the generation breaker.
Yes.
Of the poverty and everything that existed around you. And if you didn't do well, not only did you disappoint yourself, but you disappoint your family. But in some instances, I think that level of value and self-worth and so on is just gradually eroding in our society.
It's lost.
You see, conflict has always been a major part of society.
Yes.
Because we're different personalities. And because we're different personalities, we will see things differently. We're going to express ourselves differently. And that in and of itself sometimes creates this level of disunity, disharmony, and conflict. But peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means.
I like that. Repeat that.
So it says peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflicts by peaceful means. So it means, therefore, that even if you see somewhere that looks so harmonious, it doesn't mean that there was a conflict.
Yes.
What it means is that possibly conflict existed, but the way in which it was managed is what gives that different image.
I like that.
So one of the things that I think that has caused conflict is just that we feel that, boy, we have to done the person and we're not letting it go. And
we all have to prove a point,
we have to prove a point that I'm better
than you. Yes. Yes.
I have shared my story so many times that when I was younger, boy, I used to give a girl my lunch money not to fight me.
You were being bullied?
I was being bullied.
Oh my God.
I never understood the term at that time, but as I became older and more exposed, I recognized that's what was happening to me. That I was being bullied. And this is the most embarrassing part, my viewers, that the person who was bullying me was actually smaller than I was.
How you feel now?
Looking back, I feel so humiliated. But I never saw myself fighting. And and even when this was reported to my mom, because there was a neighbor who saw what was happening to me, and she would intervene, right? And I remember when she told my mom, and my mom said, "What?" And I went to my mom and told my mom, "No such thing." No such thing. And that was out of fear that, if I said something about it, then this would be round 7 or round 10.
You're going to be disciplined.
I'm going to be disciplined by her,
yes.
the bully.
Yes.
So I was so excited when I thought about my common entrance that I said to myself, I am just so hoping that I pass my common entrance for a school that was far away from the environs where I know I would have seen her.
Okay.
And fate would have it, I passed for a school that was within her environment. But I'm so excited that I never saw her again.
High five.
I never saw her again. So anyhow you see me acting like I'm bad. It's it's not my true thing. But I think though that let us look at some of the reasons, some of the examples that we're seeing in the schools of conflict. Peer pressure. We talk a little bit about that. Talk to us about that.
Peer pressure has been a thing from before me and you, and will be here after you and I. It has been a thing. But the thing is, just like how society is evolving, everything that happens now is way different from how it was when we were growing up. Because peer pressure for us back then, or let me speak for me, peer pressure for me back then was, you say no a couple of times and then leave you alone.
Right.
Now, if you are not a part of the crowd, if you're not a part of the crew, you are nobody.
And then I want to say something on the peer pressure as well, Ms. Mitchell, because what happens is that if one student gets attacked and they're part of a crew,
the entire crew,
yes. Then because we saw the fracas at the bus park the other day
with the students,
yes. So even though what the student was from, it was 17 high schools that were involved.
Yes.
And so even though this conflict was between a boy and a boy over a girl.
How the other schools get involved? Because if they did not get involved, them would have get ostracized.
Right. And he's almost like it's the same thing that would happen in a community where you feel like you have to stand up for those who you can identify with. So it goes back to our point and punctuates it that what we're saying is that what we see in school is a living out, is a manifestation of what the children see in the society.
That's true.
So another example of conflict, which was mine, is bullying, right? Bullying. Another sense of conflict is academic pressure.
All right. So with that, no.
And you too.
With that, no.
Right.
You see, so there's a thing called first bride, second bride, third bride, last bride.
Okay.
Right? So you see, if you're never in the first and second bride, and you're in a third and fourth, no have no mistake, no have no mishap, no have no fight, no conflicts, don't, because that will be placed over your head,
right,
until you graduate from the school, or until your academia steps up.
Right.
So you couldn't, if you're dunce, just stay dunce.
According to people.
To people.
One of the things about academic pressure that puts people into a state of conflict is that some people love to tout other people.
Yes.
So they love to call people like dunce bat. Or zero catcher.
I never heard that one.
You catch a zero, man. You catch a zero.
Oh my, I never heard that one.
And so sometimes that person might just feel so intimidated and feel like, listen, all right, so let me see how your A's will get and your B's that you've gotten is going to defend you when I meet you out the road later.
But Mrs. Tomlinson, look at what's happening now. Back then, it was like a crying shame for you to be called or referred to as dunce. In 2024,
we're in the bag.
If you're not dunce, you're not saying nothing. So it's a complete...
In some circles.
It's a complete...
And the society, again, endorses certain kinds of things.
Like the songs that we're listening to and encouraging the students to listen to is encouraging you to be dunce.
Another thing that we find happening now, we're talking about the conflicts all over in the school society.
Yes.
That we're saying is a spill-off of what is happening the society is spilling over into the school. And we're seeing that even as people try to treat this issue, they have to look at the big orange. Stop just looking at the little juices flowing here.
Yes.
Because what I found interesting, Miss Mitchell, is how people can have when something happens. And that is what we call a 9-day wonder, because every time something happens, it's like, wow, mental health is an issue. Of conflict in school is an issue. And then
nothing.
It just dies down. And then you have another upsurge of it, and then it's another aha moment again. So we want to say that, we have to pay more attention to this. Another type of conflict that we have is teacher-student. That's becoming very pronounced as well, where children are rising up against teachers. That is just like a no-no.
You could not do that back in the days. So every time I say back in the days, I just sound old. Anyway, I'm mature. Back in the days,
yes,
in the 90s,
nobody gets old nowadays. We all mellow.
Is mellow?
Yeah, that's my new term.
All right, I stand on that. I'm mellow.
Right, right. We mellow.
So in the 90s, you dare not try to disrespect a teacher, because before you reach home, your parent is going to hear.
You're notified, right?
Your parent is going to hear what your behavior was in class. And say when our parents used to beat with them time, man, the beating stay, man, stick and stay with you. You said 9-day wonder, it's 10 days.
The beating stay like Guinea.
Stay in your man. Look here, after you get a beating from last week, you want to misbehave this week. You're not going to misbehave because you remember the beating where you get last week.
But what I found interesting too, because I had a preliminary discussion this morning with someone, and what I found interesting is that the government has intervened, right, to even legislate when parents, which they do have a point though, when parents beat their children in a way that is considered abuse.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Because we know that some of these parents, when them get cross,
angry,
miserable.
Yes.
Yeah, when they get to that place, if it's a broomstick, the mop stick,
into it and grab,
electric car, a Dutch pot, and let me tell you something.
The post the dog.
I think these parents should be showing shot put like they do. They go to because they have a way to aim and throw.
They never fling something around the corner, like
yeah, it bend too corner and come back around. Oh, my producer can find something like that. The shoes bend and come back around and slap you right where it's supposed to lie. But the point is that we need to understand that we legislate these laws, and these laws are used to help to keep the parents in check.
Yes.
But I think, and I want the legislators to hear me today, I think what they should also legislate is how people have their children and don't care about them.
Yes.
And I've heard of situations where parents go to school to inquire how their children are doing. And teacher is saying, oh, how is Tom? She's like, okay, what's happening here? Because I come to investigate how Tom is doing. And they would say for the last 3 months, they did not see Tom. How could you have your child in your home? They haven't been to school for 3 months and you're not aware.
We're not paying attention.
We're busy.
We're not paying attention. Yes, life is busy. Yes, well, for me as a single parent, I have work up to my neck because I have to provide for the little boy. But I also have to prioritize time to sit down with him, reason with him. You're a man. I'm raising a man. What is happening? Society already has a thing against men. Some parts of it already has a thing against men. I believe that women have it so much easier than young men growing up.
You know me already. Once you say anything about my boys,
Yeah, man.
School, I'm
defender of the earth.
I'm a defender.
Defender of the earth. Yes. I know that much.
I am very passionate about what you say to young men, young boys, because I believe that when people don't understand that life and death is in the power of the tongue, right?
That's true.
And so it's so common people say, then what list boy they are, then tough head boy. And I really rebuke them in the true sense of the word, because I believe what we ought to do is that if we're trying to rebuild and reinforce and engender a spirit of manhood and so we need to talk to our boys more. And
we need to.
So I don't share that part. Whenever they come, whenever they come to me to talk anything about the boys, I'm going to send them back, right? So I want you to talk to our audience today, Mrs. Mitchell, about you being a single mother and how it is that you're nurturing your son to be an exemplary young man.
I was raised in the church, Baptist denomination. Let me start there. And I have been taught morals, responsibilities, and things that today I am still upholding. Now, I have a gentleman that I'm raising, and I love that little boy. God bless. Thank you, God, for my son. The first thing I have to do is be his friend. Be his friend. So there's a thin line between being your mother and being your friend. I know where to draw the lines. You don't. So even though I'm your friend, you know that there are certain lines you don't cross with me. And I listen. I ask him questions. How was your day? Tell me about your day. You know, if him have a gross, we'll work it out, or ask him, well, how do you think you should have acted in this manner, in this situation, and so forth, so on. And I love him. I love on him. I speak life over him. If him come and him say, Mommy, you know, so them bully me. I say, no, sir, they say your head big. Nah, your head not big for nothing. I true you have a whole heap of education in there. So I twist it. Every time him come and say somebody says something negative, I turn it into positive, and I show him how he can do that. I am also
you know, I find something very interesting. Sometimes somebody just said something, I'm thinking about it. Sometimes the things that children use to make other children feel insecure, if you look at it, you know, they have the same features.
The same thing.
The same thing. So one of the things that I try to say to children is that, or to young teens, is that don't let it get inside. I find that, I said, let it be like water on duck's back.
Yeah, it just runs
because
off.
if you, what you say is okay, you know, is bad enough, you know, right? Because you know that words and so are powerful. But the challenge is when you absorb the negative.
Yes.
When you take it on to yourself.
Yes.
And that is where the kids get into a little bit of, no man, he's rude, he's disrespectful. So audience out there, as we look on this issue of conflicts and helping to rear healthy children, we have to teach them how to not let everything that is said about them affect them.
Yes.
Go ahead, talk us about your young man.
He's very much active in the church. Very much active. This past January, I think, of this year, yes, he did a mini sermonette.
Oh, wow.
Yes, man, I'm pushing him right there. Please stay under the blood of Jesus. Please stay right there. So I encourage that very much, and I love how he participates in church. I also encourage him to do extracurricular activities, because when we were growing up, we're not stay inside. We're always outside. We're climbing trees. We're playing game. We're going river. We're going here and there. Now it's not so prevalent to have them outside because things just change. Everything just changed. So I encourage him to do a sport. I encourage him to do an extracurricular activity. He says he wants to be in the cadet. Go ahead and be in the cadet. I'll support you. The next thing is support. Support. So if today you come to me and you say you want to play basketball, all right, son, let's go play basketball. Mommy, tomorrow I want to play cricket. All right, sir, let's go play cricket. Mommy, I don't want to play cricket. I want to play football. All right, let's go play football. As much as it may sound and come off as the child is indecisive, now is the time to be behind him. Because a lot of times
they're
finding themselves.
So what I'm hearing you say, Miss Mitchell, and I want to endorse it to the audience today, is that as we're celebrating Child's Month, we know that there are lots of books on parenting.
Yes.
But initially, when we become parents, nobody really teaches us how to be excellent parents.
It's an on-the-job.
It's an on-the-job activity, right? But thanks to programs like Sip and Chat, and to my host and my guest here today, Ms. Dacoda Mitchell, who is saying to us that we need to speak to our children. We need to listen to our kids. And most of all, when we say be their friend, we don't mean you're going to compromise, you know. What we're saying is that because they have a friend, what they don't tell you, they tell somebody else.
That's true.
We want to position ourselves in a space where our kids know that, listen, you can come to me.
Yes.
You will have other people that you tell stuff, but when it comes to those things that matter, you want to come to me.
Yes.
And every now and then, you'll be childlike like them, cuddle up in the bed with them, throw the
ball.
Fight. Yeah. You know? I mean, if they're into Korean, whatever they're into, try to understand what it is about.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, you know, what I find, even we're going to have another program on this whole screen babies.
Yes.
And by screen babies, I mean these babies who are spending all of their times on gadgets.
Yes.
Their best friends are somebody they've never met before. They talk about these people that they don't know.
Robots.
Right? And then for us, it's like, it's so good because, they don't bother me. They just stay in the room with their tablet and so on. But that's a problem too.
It is.
Because the children are not learning how to connect.
Yes.
And when they're on these social spaces, everything looks so instantaneous and everything looks so so right,
Yes.
so to speak. But we have to get back to the place where we become parents once again.
Yes.
You know, we interact with our kids and we take responsibility. I want to also look at the whole management of, as we're about to wrap up, boy, but time flies. So let us just summarize 10 things that we think are very important in terms of, you know, maintaining a harmonious relationship in the schools. Talk to us.
Love.
Wow.
Let's start with that. Love. We are lacking love. You know?
Even though there's some like a four-letter word, powerful.
Yeah, man.
Love.
Love.
Oh my God.
We're lacking love. The next thing is, you said it earlier.
I think passive listening is so important.
Yes, we have to listen.
We listen passively, but we don't listen actively.
That is it.
A lot of people, the children are talking to you, but you're doing 100 things. And trust me, those kids know that you're not listening.
You're not paying attention.
You're not paying attention.
Yes.
It's best for even a few minutes out of what you're doing. Say, okay, I'm all
ears. Yes.
You know, talk to me, and then you know you do what we call responsive, where you say, am I sure I'm understanding what you're saying?
Yes.
So you show them that you're engaging in what is happening. Right? We have to do that. I think we need to also use neutral languages to avoid conflicts as well.
Yes.
And those stereotype. Children from down there, so from the lane, from the avenue. The stereotyping, right? The stereotyping can cause a conflict. And again, I want to emphasize the use of common ground.
Yes.
Something happens. What is the common ground? You know, what we're quarrel for? We come from the same community.
Yes.
We have to start establishing common grounds in the conversations.
Yes.
So it doesn't seem like you correct me, and I feel like you're trying to belittle me.
Yes.
You understand? But because
ego though, you know.
Oh Lord, that is another story by itself. Right.
Ooh.
But we really want to commend, as we're wrapping up, we really want to commend our guidance counselors, the people in the church as a social agent.
Yes.
And I really want to emphasize what you said, Ms. Mitchell, about trying to make sure that the values of the spiritual values, because there's no other ways to find
There's no other way.
There's no other value system, you know.
There's no other way.
The truest, if there's such a word.
Yes.
The most authentic value system as it relates to morals and ethics is found nowhere else in that 366.
Yes.
That's where it's found.
In the Bible.
And I say to parents out there, you can't do it by yourself in this Child's Month, where we're really saying to you here from Spin Chat, you can't do it by yourself, but you don't have to do it by yourself, because there are many social institutions, in particular the church. And
Yes.
Jamaica has the most churches per square mile.
Trust
and
and
those
believe.
of you parents, I'm going to ask you to say your final words, but those of you parents who continuously go to church and leave the children behind because they're deliberately taking long to get ready, you better carry them in one pair of shoes.
Carry them.
Carry them in the hair uncombed. Because they're trying to be smart on you. You gotta
Yes.
pay. You gotta show them your game plan. Your final words, Ms. Mitchell.
My final word to all the parents out there: pay attention to your children. Pay attention to what they do, who they speak to, where they go. Love on them. Remind them every day. Pray for your children. Cover them from the top of them head to the sole of them feet. Be their friend. Be there for them. And trust me, once you teach them all of those things, and teach them respect also, respect to them elders, respect to you, respect to themselves. Once you teach them all of those, trust me, you're going to have an amazing adult growing up.
Well, Stephen Chat, when we're having fun, the time goes so fast. But please remember this, that children, they are indeed a gift from God. And on that day, I believe that we're giving account for everything. We're going to have to give an account of how we nurtured that blessing, that life that God has given to us.
Yes.
The world consists of many different personalities, but we have to choose to encourage the type of personality that we want in our children. Until next time, let us continue to sip and chat. Can we cheers?
Yeah.